I don't believe it, Brent Shot. He's pulling against 200 horsepower. I put it in reverse. How about a bumper sandwich, booger lips? Shut up and refill more popcorn. Shut up and refill more popcorn.
Waka waka, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Shut Up and Refill My Popcorn. This episode, we're going to get into 1994, 1995. Can't remember when this movie came out, but it's Ernest Goes to School. And as you can see, this is in video format. So if you're listening on the audio, do yourself a solid. Go check out the video because I'm joined again by my special guest, my first guest in this 2024 March podcasting madness foyer or whatever that I do for the anniversary podcast. I don't know what his foyer means.
I don't know, bro. Keep rolling with it.
Mr. CJ Manuel.
What's going on, my friend? What's happening? How you doing?
What is up? Thank you for joining me this go around, this 5th year anniversary around the world in this podcasting game. And so yeah, we're going to get into Ernest Goes to School. Now, like I said, I can't remember when this movie came out, 94, 95.
According to IMDb, it came out May of 94, May 6, 1994.
I know it was before Billy Madison because that was the thing. It came out before Billy Madison. Doesn't have this. I would say the same. It would have the same kind of premise. You know, older dude goes back to high school, but Ernest has been an established character, you know, since what, the 70s when he was doing commercials, 80s doing commercials. Yeah.
That's where I remember Ernest with the. I thought,
hey Vern,
huh? Yeah, hey Vern.
Hey Vern.
I thought it was just a local at the time until like.
I think so.
Out of town to visit other relatives, and the same jokes would be different, but it'd be different jokes, but the same, like the ladder, the falling off the ladder, and all that stuff. Yeah. That gig, I would see different versions of that if I was like in Louisiana than if I did home or if I did was it Dallas or whatever. And there was always some kind of local product or car dealership or whatever, and that was kind of like revolutionary in his time. And they made a shitload of money. Him and the advertising firm that created that character made a shitload of money off of that shit, man.
Because he didn't portray like a hillbilly redneck type. He was just like an every kind of guy,
dim-witted,
dim-witted,
kind of
everyman type, yeah. And so, you know, the one movie that I remember growing up was Ernest Scared Stupid. But I think the first film in the Ernest franchise would be Ernest Goes to Camp.
Yeah.
That's
the only one up until this one that I seen any parts of, and I saw pieces of that. So I hadn't seen any other Ernest movie because by then I was already, you know, I was from 94. I had just joined the Navy, bro. I was aware of the movie, but I was like, I ain't watching this shit. It's like they could have called this Ernest Jumps the Shark. You know what I'm saying? All right.
Yeah, I want to say this one, and there was another one. They were kind of like, I would see, you know, one side say it was this movie, another side would say it was Ernest Goes to Africa. That were kind of like
that was the last one. I was reading that was the last one. I kind of want to see. That's the one I kind of want to see. I want to see how racist it is. So I might check out Ernest Goes to Africa. I was like,
but I remember growing up. I remember watching Ernest Goes to Jail. Now I remember Ernest Scared Stupid for this one line and this one line only, because growing up I remember laughing at it with my brother. It was when he sees the goblin or the little troll, and he's like, how about a knuckle sandwich, booger lips, and he punches him in the face.
Yeah.
And just the booger lips. As a little kid, like, he said booger, like that, almost an F-bomb was dropped or something. But and then Ernest Goes to Jail. I remember seeing that one on TV, on like an NBC TV of the week or movie of the week type of deal. But yeah, dude, Ernest goes to school. The premise here, uh, it's kind of all over the place. It's goofy, it's dim-witted, it's silly. Um, but the premise here is that Ernest is the maintenance slash janitor custodian guy. I wouldn't say, I think he's maintenance. I wouldn't say he's custodian. He's a maintenance dude at a high school. The district board member or the district, some higher up, comes and talks to the principal and says, "Hey, we're gonna make some changes. We're gonna end up closing your school down.
Right.
We're making some changes in the district and close your school down. Uh, one of the changes we've talked about, the board's talked about, is every employee has to have a high school diploma, has to be a high school graduate." And Ernest, what's his last name? P. Worrell, Ernest
World.
Worrell.
P is his middle name or middle initial.
Yeah, and
World.
and so he doesn't have one, and so this guy, he already has it in his head, like, we're gonna close you down. Fuck, you can try and fix your situation as best you can. Nothing's gonna help. So let's just, you know, you're done. You're done. And so I mean, he's the bad guy of this film. Um, Ernest is. I mean, you would think it would be the bullies, which I don't know if you noticed who one of the bullies was, is a comedian and wrestler enthusiast, Mr.
Yeah,
Will Sasso.
young Will Sasso. I popped when I saw that in the cast. I was like,
And this was before he was on Mad TV. I think
oh
he
yeah,
came
this
in
was way before
season.
that.
Yeah, but yeah, Will Sasso does his Jesse Ventura impressions, his
Yeah,
Stone
I
Cold
was
Steve
watching that
Austin
before.
impression.
I was watching that before we started rolling.
I love those, bro. I love those. Those are funny as fuck. In Minnesota.
Hold on, Pippin's yelling at me. I'll be right back.
All right. As he's doing that, let me get into a little bit of the backstory of this film, a little bit more in depth in the story. So, like I said, Ernest needs to go back to school. The principal talks to him and they set up this deal. So he goes back to school, and then, like we said, he's a little dim-witted. He's kind of goofy. He has some hiccups with one of the teachers. I think it was a math teacher. And the first week kind of goes, it just sucks. The first week did not go as planned. He's kind of down in the dumps. But there's hope. What is that hope? It's
Miss
these
Flugel.
Miss, is that her name? That
Miss Flugel. Yeah,
Miss Flugel?
he got size for Miss Flugel. Yeah.
Oh no, that was the band teacher. No, I'm talking about the science, Bobby's friend, the other
You're
teacher.
talking about Gerda and Bobby. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Gerda. Yeah,
I was talking about
but
Miss
yeah.
Flugel. Yeah.
Miss Flugel, yeah, Miss Flugel's the band teacher. He's got a crush, so she's gonna be the love interest for him, while his little high school buddy is interested in. I don't even know what the girl's name is, but the actress is Sarah Chalk. So if you're a fan of Scrubs or Roseanne, I think Roseanne, she played one of the
Oh,
Beckys.
yeah, she other Becky, right? She
The
was
other
other
Becky,
Becky.
yeah. And
Yeah,
then
okay.
Scrubs, she was on Scrubs. She played what the fuck was her name?
I didn't recognize her. I popped when I saw Will Sasso's name, but I didn't recognize her name until you said, yeah, other Becky. Yeah,
The
okay.
other, yeah. And so now, like I said, he's down in the dumps. He knows that he's gonna fail. He can't pass this end of the school exam or this big test that they're gonna give. And Girdle and Bobby have invented a brain. Oh, what was it?
It was
A,
make dumb people smart gimmick.
basically a
Yeah,
brain accelerator. That's what it was.
yeah.
And he comes out being like, he's got a tie, he's got glasses, he talks very professional, very, very
Oh,
proper.
yes.
Yes, yeah. And it only lasted about a few seconds because he went back to, hey, Vern.
Yeah.
And
Well,
but it all
remember
depends on how long it's
yeah, I
on
was
your
gonna say,
head.
yeah.
Yeah,
And they said, that the normal person it would last a few hours, but because he was so stupid, he only got
yeah,
he had to come back every hour or whatever it
you have to
was.
come back every hour to at least, or every 3 hours or something like that.
Yeah, the normal
But
person's every 3 hours, but you're so stupid, you got to come back every hour. So he had to go like he was supposed to go in between classes. Remember?
oh yeah.
So
And
it's so
and it just made him a dick, really. Like we see later on, he's like just being rude to all his little high school buddies, and and even to the scientists that are there helping him.
Yeah.
I kind of laughed when they were doing that experiment with the pig, and the pig's supposed to do like math problems, and then there's fucking Ernest doing like
Giving them the wrong answers. Yeah.
it was like two. It was 2 + 4, which is 6, and he's like 7,
Yeah.
7,
Yeah.
and the pig types 7, which the pig typing in general is amazing, but
I know, right?
somehow they're like, no, it's the
And
wrong
the pig listened
answer.
to him. Yeah, the pig listened to him and said, "Oh yeah, let me do it." He said,
Yeah, he's like, you stupid motherfucker, I got it wrong. Um, yeah, so like so he's going in between classes and recharging his brain, and he's like top dog. He's got all the math answers down to like the equation. Like that's some advanced math. Like I don't know, would that be like calculus or what or anything? Like I don't think that was algebra,
uh,
but
it was like, I don't know, bro. I
it was it,
I
it
tapped
was
out
it
of
was
algebra too, so I don't know, bro.
yeah. And so and then the band teacher makes him the band drum
The
major,
drum major, yeah.
and he is killing it. He's got these kids playing what is that tune? It's that American da, da, da,
Stars and
da,
Stripes
da, da,
Forever, yeah.
da.
Stars and Stripes Forever.
Okay, yeah. So they're playing the fuck out of that. They're gonna do this badass halftime show at the second to last big game. So it's the game before the district game. So in order to win this game, you make it to district. So would that be by district or some sort of semi? I
I don't
don't know.
I don't know. It was
It
some
was a
kind of
major
championship.
game.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
was a
know,
major.
I didn't understand how like the 100% high school, every employee had to have a high school diploma, and they had to win the championship game to stay open. It doesn't make no sense to me.
Yeah, like there's
Why you
all
just
these
fire his ass?
obstacles.
You just
Yeah,
fire
all these obstacles, but they see the dude wanted to get rid of him. The dude
Yeah,
was a dick.
yeah.
Um,
Principal should have just fired his ass and said, "Get your diploma, and then you can come back." Well, then we would have been blessed with this masterpiece that we're reviewing at this point in time.
oh man, the silliness that ensues. I mean, you saw him trying to fix that leaky faucet in the beginning. The
Yeah.
it causing the pipes causing the toilets to do all this. It's almost cartoonish,
If I was
which is
5,
good.
I would have found that funny.
Yeah, that's something that you would like you would expect that from an Ernest movie, just
Yeah.
silliness and
Him getting flattened in the opening run, I did chuckle,
yeah.
and I chuckled at the football game at the end,
When he
so
kind of talks to himself like uh uh the coach used to call him legs or something, and
Crazy Legs, World.
crazy legs and all that. Um, so let's get into it. So what's kind of the craziness or what's kind of the major points that kind of caught your attention in this film?
Well, before I answer that, one of the crazy things I is like, bro, how do you put yourself through watching these terrible ass movies, man? It's fun, but it's like, oh god, there's a lot of groaners. But this was I'm just
That's the gimmick. That's the gimmick.
I'm just fucking around. But I think by this time I can't remember if this was the last one to get released in theaters or whatever. But
It almost came off of like a TV movie, like the
yeah,
production.
or
Or
direct to video, because I think there were a
I
total
think
of
it might.
8 or
I
9
think it
of
was,
these damn movies, and
yeah.
first 4 were released in theaters, and the rest were direct to video. And they were supposed to be making like an Ernest the Pirate or Ernest in the Caribbean, something the pirate gimmick. When he died, he had cancer and died. But with this movie in particular, I I popped at the because we do we've been doing these wrestling thing podcasts for on Extra Butter, and you've been helping me out with comic chops and stuff. So we've been talking a lot of wrestling and comedy and stuff. And I was like, okay, this is a break. This is gonna be the first non-wrestling movie at all. So I did pop at the little cameo with the wrestler in this movie, So I didn't expect that
Yeah.
because like I said, I had never seen this or whatever. So that
Did
made me
you, did
laugh.
you
That made me chuckle.
did you notice how loose the ropes were?
I know.
Like
Yeah,
bad. Like
yeah. I know. So
try running those motherfuckers and not ended up on the floor.
that and the only 2 black guys in the movie were the wrestler in the dream sequence and the last guy he had to beat to score the touchdown to win the game, whatever, who looked like he was like the biggest, baddest player or whatever. So I did enjoy that that contemporary era profiling, very significant moment in token black guy history. So I do appreciate that. Yeah, so this was actually not the worst movie that I've seen in this series. I still think Ready to Rumble was as bad as this, so it was tied, you know. But I do appreciate the the I guess the genius, I guess, of Jim Varney, who had his roots in stand-up comedy and improv, and he had gotten over before this Ernest franchise, and then after Ernest franchise, he his last, he did the first two Toy Stories, and I forgot he was in that Beverly Hillbillies remakes that came out a couple years after this one,
93 or 94.
Yeah. So I forgot he had played Jed Clampett. So I was a big mark for that show back in the day. You ever watch reruns of the Beverly Hillbillies and stuff?
Oh yeah.
That stupid show still holds up with some of those jokes.
The Nick at Night lineup from back in the day is
folks like that, and it's not color. I knew black versions of Granny, Mexican versions of Granny, a couple of Mexican versions of Ellie Mae.
Now.
Yes, sir.
Insert Blue Chew commercial here.
Yes, sir. Okay. Yeah, even Conan can agree. That's tremendous. But so yeah, I do miss those kind of shows and stuff, and just watching the Ernest movie, even though it was a bad movie and stuff. But that's the point. I just thought about Jim Varney, the character, and that Ernest character beforehand, and so that kind of took me down to that nostalgia trail and stuff. So a lot of these movies that we watch on both the wrestling front and in this, there's a lot of nostalgia and stuff. So I do hope that can kind of bring some context and stuff, because we're like a generation. I'm an old head. I'll be 50 this year. So some of these movies kind of hit me a little different than hit you and stuff. So I'm interested in like hearing your point of view and stuff when you were a kid, and some of these movies you were little, so you see them through a different lens, so the nostalgia might hit you a little bit different and stuff. So I think that's cool.
Yeah, there's a good dynamic there with because oh man, like watching a movie. I don't know if we talked about anything, but like, or even just wrestling. Like, so like we talked on the Comic Chops, the first Comic Chops episode.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up watching WCW in 93-ish, like right around that time Sting was going to wrestle Vader in Super Brawl time. And, at that time I was like maybe 5 or 6 years old. I was probably about 5 years old.
Jeez.
And you're probably,
just joined the Navy in 93. Yeah.
Yeah. So like your take on that, like you probably thought, man, that was whack or whatever. And I'm just like thinking, holy shit, is the best thing I've ever. Yeah. So that dynamic, it works, because,
it helps fill in gaps and stuff, That's cool.
Yeah. Like maybe you weren't even watching it because you're, WWF, more leaning WWF than WCW, because WCW at this time wasn't, this was way before Nitro. Around that time, it was a completely different horse.
Yeah, so by then I was football, girls, hanging with my friends, trying to deflower myself, or tired of deflowering myself, trying to find some,
Yeah, I'm over there picking my nose, playing with Ninja Turtles and get on my brother's nerves. But yeah, so this movie, to be like I said, the only ones I could think of is Ernest Scared Stupid, goes to jail, and then goes to camp. I didn't know that there is a huge. I mean, there's a huge.
I was going down that rabbit hole. Yeah,
there's a list of Ernest movies, and yeah, man, he passed away. Did you see where he passed away of it with cancer? You said
lung cancer, I think.
Lung cancer.
He was a smoker. Yeah.
Yeah, that had to have been by the 2000s. Because he had already done Toy Story 2, and that came out in 99. So
yeah, that sounds about right. So Ernest first appeared as a character in this variety called Hey Vern, It's My Family. So he played all the main characters. So he played his. Hold on, let me get to
And
the thing.
and
So
the way they used to shoot that was like, like he's talking to the camera. The camera is a person, like, hey, like get
yeah,
out of my house type of
yeah,
deal.
yeah,
And yeah, I remember I've seen the clips, and I remember um they even did some of the movies like that. Like Vern was a character in the movie, and so
yeah.
I think
So it's
maybe
like
it was
that second
Ernest Saves
person where
Christmas.
camera is Vern. So he's
Yeah,
talking to you. Like, so you're playing the character of Vern. You
kind of
know,
wish they'd have did that here, because that was
yeah, that
kind of
would have been cool.
iconic.
Yeah, that he could have had some cutaways to Vern and stuff like that. Yeah, that would have been a good idea. Absolutely. So damn, I'm trying to figure out who all the characters. I saw it before. He had
I
played.
know Bobby's a returning character. I've seen him in at least Ernest Go Saves Christmas.
Yeah, yeah. There's some characters that are from that original uh Ernest variety show that do come back in different roles and stuff like that. So that was
Yeah.
his first appearance. That was in '83, and then in '86 there was the Ernest Film Festival, which I think was just like a greatest hits of his commercials and shit like that. But the
Ah,
first movie in the Ernest uh saga, I guess, canon is Ernest Goes to Camp in '87. So there's one,
okay. So it came out in '87.
the Ernest Saves Christmas. I think that was the most popular one in '88. Ernest Goes to Jail. I remember hearing about that one in '90. Um, Ernest Scared Stupid in '91. Ernest Rides Again. Some something called Your World as I See It, but I don't think that was an Ernest movie. Ernest Goes to School '94. Slam Dunk Ernest in '95.
Okay.
Ernest Goes to Africa in '97, and Ernest and the Army was the last one. And then, like I said, there was supposed to have been
That's
one.
the
There was
one.
a pirate type theme or whatever that didn't. That they were, I think they were beginning production or at least had a treatment or a script in place. But then Jim Varney passed away, so then that was the end of that.
Yeah. So yeah. So now, like, he's super brainy. He's killing it as the band drum major.
Yeah,
Uh, and then the day of his performance, his and at this time the bullies kind of figured out what was going on, and so they went into the little secret hideout that he was going to get his brain recharged and trashed everything, just like bullies and dickheads do.
yeah.
Um, Ernest goes to recharge, and he realizes it's kaput. It's there's nothing there to recharge, and the whole halftime show goes to shit. Things start, fireworks start fires everywhere, and it's just people are like, it I guess would be the climax of the film, or like the downfall of the main character, I guess, or not the downfall, but like the low point, because now his secret is kind of out, and people are ashamed, or like just disappointed in him. um but his friends kind of rally around him to try to like help him study for the big test, and he knocks the test out, and then we go to another game where this time um the bad guy, the dude, I'm gonna call him District Dickhead, he's basically bribing the coach to throw the game so they don't, this, so they can close the school down and all that shit.
Talk about Mr.
uh,
Axwell,
is that what his name? I don't really feel like he was worth fucking knowing. He's just a dick.
played by
uh,
Kevin McNulty. He's one of those. Oh yeah, that guy was in
yeah,
that
that
movie.
guy.
Yeah, yeah,
Exactly. um and this is a crazy part of this film. Like, I know we talked about the silliness and the bonkersness. So before the halftime, the football team is just sucking. They're getting their ass beat like 39 points to
38, 39,
0.
nothing. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and so when they go into halftime, the one of the kids or one of the friends had overheard the conversation, but got locked in some kind of container, some kind of like
Yeah,
equipment
it's about
container.
Rodney. Yeah,
Yeah, he gets let out. He goes and tells everybody, this mother, they're throwing the game. Like, we got to do something. So what's the bright idea? Hey, let's tell these guys what's going on so they play better. No, let's knock them the fuck out with some kind of knockout gas or
Damn
fart
near
gas
kill
or
'em.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and let's take their place. Mind you, most of these people are in the freaking band.
Man,
So
no
who
way.
the fuck who the fuck was playing during the halftime while everybody's suiting up to play the fucking football game?
All of a sudden, the Harlem Globetrotters showed up and they're playing the New Jersey
No,
Generals on the football field. You know,
no. If that doesn't sound bonkers enough, now all of a sudden, hey, the brain accelerator machine works and it's portable with
right?
fucking horseshoes.
And it'll go through helmets. You know, right to the brain.
Yeah, they just zzz,
Yeah.
zzz. Now they're fucking scoring. Now they're like scored at least 6 touchdowns.
You got
They
school
get to like
officials in the stands watching this shit. You know, not disqualifying the team and
not
shutting.
realizing, hey, isn't that the motherfucker that was directing the band to to do their thing? What the fuck's he doing what's he doing quarterbacking?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a comedy. It's a ha. It's suspend your disbelief, if you will. But
Smoke a couple
it just,
bowls.
yeah, you'd have to be super, super high in Iran
I
to.
was, and I still it was
It
tough.
still wasn't. It sobered you up or what?
I had to take a nap and watch it in sections, bro.
Yeah, man. And I mean, I literally watched it today, and to get the taste out of my mouth, I ended up watching one of my favorite movies that I'll probably review pretty soon on the Bizarro extra butter, Aliens.
Okay, yeah,
The
that's the best
you
one of
know,
the yeah.
yeah, and it's my favorite.
Aliens greater than Alien, my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, it's one of those. The sequel's better than the first,
T2
but
greater than
I had
T1. No, T1 was great. T2 is probably the greatest sequel of all time. You
oh
know,
yeah, and so
just
I had to watch that to get to like cleanse my palate and get the just like what the fuck like.
yeah. Okay, so I'm not alone in this, you know. So
But
you're
at the same
suffering
time,
too. Okay.
but
As long as I
but
know
you
you're
notice,
suffering too, bro. Yeah.
but you notice that they have to win. Like you even said, you have to win the big game. You have to pass the test, and you can't
Yep.
for this school to win. And he doesn't even get his diploma. Like, did they explain what test was? It like a diploma?
It just ended after the big game. That
It
was it.
didn't, and it was like, I want to say it was homecoming, dude. Homecoming for me in Texas is like October in the
Oh,
fall, where football's
yeah.
usually played. They don't play football in the springtime
And
right
where is this
before
supposed to be?
graduation.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. And where is it? Where is this supposed to be? Hold on. It's supposed to be in like
Like football's a fall sport, so you're gonna tell me you're playing these games like you're gonna shut down a school halfway through the semester or halfway through the school year. Now these little motherfuckers, let's say they did close it down. Now these little motherfuckers got to find a new school. You know what I mean? It's like, Ernest. It's like they thought about the premise. Ernest goes to like fill in the blank.
right.
School. Well, fuck it.
Someplace called Chickasaw Falls High School. Don't sound like it's cold as hell in football season. You know.
It sounds like they should have a little bit more Native Americans in the cast, if you know what I mean.
Wow, I didn't even think about that. And then
You know,
but
Chief runs with
Canada,
bulls.
how about that? I didn't even know that the film was filmed in Canada. So yeah, that late November springtime Canadian weather is perfect football weather. Yeah, you're right. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, so like it just and so like yeah, I said like it was a homecoming game. It was a district game. Usually, like I said, in the fall. He's supposed to graduate. He's supposed to get his high school diploma. So like, is this and everybody was taking the test, not just him. If it would have just been a test for him to like say, hey, take this test and you'll get your GED equivalent, whatever the case may be.
Yeah,
That
so
way you don't have to go the whole school year because you only showed up for like 2-3 weeks.
right. So yeah,
But
if
no,
the whole class had to take, I mean, if the whole school had to take the test that Ernest had to take to graduate, so then that means they still would have got shut down because the freshmen, sophomores, and juniors wouldn't have graduated. So that's a stupid.
yeah, like
Yeah, that didn't
like
make no
was
sense.
everybody a senior? Like what the fuck?
Now if they said because they didn't. Now If they would have just said he was a student, and like you said, they left out the graduating. If he would have graduated and then some kind of
Yeah,
goofy hijinks,
if
that would have been a
yeah,
perfect time for a Vern cameo. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
Vern,
like
what are you
him.
doing?
Hey Vern, I did it. Like him actually cap and gown deal, but no, they make this stupid little joke like with the vacuum scene or the vacuum in the hallway scene where he eats the motor
Yeah,
to shut it off.
yeah.
They do it again here with like some little music box that he's given to what was her name? Miss Fagel? Miss Fago too?
Flugel or whatever.
Fugel.
Yeah,
And he eats that and it's like, oh hey, the end. Like
yeah, yeah,
and then
yeah, yeah. He could have made out with Miss Flugel. Um, damn, the Vern character, like he wasn't a friend of Vern, but Vern thought he was a friend of him. So Vern would have had to been visiting like a relative graduating at the ceremony and happened to, and that way
yeah,
Vern
you're
could
right.
have done something to
He-
Vern to
Yeah.
Ernest to
Hey
keep that
Vern, and
going.
he looks at him like, oh, and he kind of like, oh, no, I don't know who you're talking about. Hey, come here. I'm saying, hey, whatever, fill in the blank. But yeah, man,
Some kind
like
of slip on the banana peel gimmick, and that would have been a
you
better finish. Yeah,
you asked me how what makes me go through the process of watching these movies
yeah, man. I'm
and
curious.
and and like if you've heard me talk about other movies, like yes, I watch them and I digest them for what they are, entertainment value. So
Mhm.
logic just is kind of takes a back seat to everything because you're taking it as a story,
Yeah,
the entertainment value. Logic really is for reality,
right.
not reality TV, but reality. So, these movies, you have a story to tell, you got the hero or the protagonist, you got the dilemma, you got, what can this protagonist do to accomplish or to, you know, accomplish his mission at hand. He has to get a degree, he has to graduate so he can save the school and then they add little other things. They added the game, they added oh, I want to date the band teacher, which he probably could because he's what I would say early 40s, mid 40s,
Probably somewhere around there.
character wise.
Yeah.
And then um but yeah, I mean, and then it kind of takes a little left turn with the whole science, like brain accelerator
So
and these
yeah.
super scientists. And she's German, so she was probably
Doing
influenced by
experiments. Yeah.
the right.
Mhm.
My father, the not the what they call them, the scientists that came and did the Manhattan Project,
Oh, you talk about
German.
I don't know.
I don't know. I haven't seen Oppenheimer.
I haven't
From
either.
what I hear, watching Oppenheimer is like watching a history movie or history class movie. Shout out Tito.
Well, he was a
On
tormented. He was definitely a tormented motherfucker, man. For him, it was the science. He was
yeah,
addicted to
yeah.
the science. Um, they actually wanted Einstein to be on there, but he was morally opposed to it. But he was kind of a unofficial advisor during that whole Manhattan Project and shit. So I don't know the movie either, but I've read about J. Robert Oppenheimer and stuff, and kind of how he was so conflicted about what he was doing and developing,
You'll
and
you'll dig this. You ever seen that show Sliders back in the day?
how does that one? What's the premise?
Sliders, like Jerry O'Connell played like this
Yeah,
super
yeah, yeah,
smart
yeah,
kid,
yeah, yeah. I do
and
remember that show. Yeah,
it was
I
multi.
liked that show. Yeah, that's when
I've been watching it on
yeah,
Peacock. I've
I
been
forgot.
rewatching it,
It was
and
good
like
stuff.
the third
It
or
was a
fourth
Fox show, right?
episode,
It was on
huh?
Fox, right? It was on Fox,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it was on Fox.
Yeah, yeah, I do
Uh,
remember that show.
I think like the third or fourth episode, they talk about they go to a world where they didn't detonate the bomb,
Mhm.
and so yeah, it's a trip, but
Hmm.
yeah, it was multiverse before multiverse was a thing.
When I listen back to this podcast, I know I'm gonna write down Sliders and kind of check that out. But I'm kind of intrigued by that. I do remember that show though. Is it on Tubi?
But it's on Peacock and the Roku channel.
Okay.
But I watch it on Peacock. But make sure you put Sliders and TV show. Don't because next thing you know, you'll probably be high a little bit and you say Sliders and go get White Castle from the store.
Man,
Get a bunch of little
I will never
cheeseburgers.
eat White Castle ever again. Bro, I was dating my first wife at the time. She's from Jersey, and my
Uh,
first time visiting her parents, we get White Castle, and they had like a one bathroom, a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment. Man, I ate like 6 of them
ooh,
fuckers, and they were so good going down. But when they
ooh,
hit, bro, I cleared their whole apartment. Yeah. I
damn.
blew up their apartment. They were like, "God, you bringing
Oh,
this fool around?" You know what I'm saying?
where the matches at?
Woo, Lord. Yeah. So yeah, that was my lesson. That was before Terrell was born. So that was 27, 28 years ago. I haven't had White Castle
Oh,
since, bro.
wow.
Uh-uh. You ain't
We went
tricking.
to we went to Vegas, and that was like one of the main reasons why I wanted to go to Vegas was to hit up a White Castle
Yeah.
because there's none here in Texas.
Uh,
The closest thing is what you get at the frozen food section.
yeah.
And
Florida had a version, they called it Crystal with a K. It was kind
okay, yeah, I think
of
I've
burgers.
seen one.
Yeah.
But so what are your main what do you have in your notes that we haven't covered yet on this film?
Um, this one I didn't really take a whole lot of notes and stuff because I was like, man, I think we're just gonna riff because this movie was terrible.
It is bad.
But there were
But
some comedic moments in there. I appreciate it and stuff.
oh
And
yeah.
like
But
I said,
makes you almost think like what about like the other movies like Slam Dunk, what'd you say, Slam Dunk Ernest?
I'm intrigued
Like,
by
how
the Ernest
goofy
Goes
is
to Africa.
that?
Yeah,
Africa and then the army, because the later ones I would assume they were direct to TV, DVD type of movies.
yeah,
Um, but you can't like the early ones, you can't go wrong with those. Like I don't think I've ever seen the first one, Ernest Goes to Camp, but Ernest Goes to Jail and Scared Stupid. I remember those two. And
yeah,
and Saves Christmas. Saves
yeah.
Christmas was
Saves
awesome.
Christmas is probably the most known, the most profitable because Christmas movies normally make good
Oh
money
yeah.
anyway. And so
And it
plus,
is a Christmas movie because it had Santa Claus in it,
right. I was
and the word Christmas was in the title. But I
Oh
mean,
yeah. So you could add that to your Christmas review movies.
yeah,
So
next year.
yeah, that was let me see. So that was I didn't realize there were that many direct to movie. There were 8 total, I think. And this was the last one to get any kind of theater. This was like a 2-month run and a couple of like in Kentucky and whatever. But
Nah,
this was definitely so this was probably Ernest Jumps the Shark. This was probably the last.
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, like I said, I mean, this came out before Billy Madison, because Billy Madison came out and it was fucking hilarious. It was a great movie.
Yeah.
And this one kind of had the same premise in a way, but it was just a little cartoony, a little bit more slapstick in a way.
Yeah. I remember Billy Madison way more than I remember this movie for sure.
Yeah. But all right, man, as we wind down, you got anything you want to plug? Any your social media and new episodes coming soon to the Comic Chops platform?
Well, first, thank you again, bro, for allowing me to chop it up with you and get this
No,
podcast and
you're always welcome, bro.
get these podcast chops, underway. But yeah, as follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram at CJ Tells Jokes. There you'll see I haven't really posted any gigs. I do have a gig coming up later in the month, so I'll post dates and all that stuff. Comic Chops, the podcast. If you prefer audio form, I swear it's coming out. We just recorded episode 2 with my homegirl Devin Benish. She's actually going to be out in El Paso, so by the time this comes out, she'll have put that information on where to follow her and all that stuff. Check out the Iron Sheik episode of Extra Butter, and there's going to be clips of the Comic Chops episode that the 3 of us recorded. So follow me at those places, man, and I promise you, bro, Comic Chops is coming out. It's coming out slowly, but it's coming out. I promise you. Yeah.
I kind of jumped the ship a little bit. I did put my version of their first Comic Chops on the YouTube, but and I just kind of wanted to put it out there to just make it known into the ether that hey, CJ is back in the podcasting game. He's got his show coming out, and this is kind of what we do. And then it ties into the episode on Extra Butter that we did on the wrestler.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then and so like, but now CJ is cutting his audio and cutting his own version of that conversation, and it's gonna be on his YouTube, and it's at CJ Tells Jokes on everywhere. Like you're on Instagram with that handle, and X and Facebook and all that, right?
Yeah, definitely for Instagram and X, I'm at CJ Tells Jokes. I'm trying to. My Facebook is mainly just me and goofing around and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
I'm toying with the idea of either having a comic shop page or a group that that houses a lot of the Facebook stuff, because I do spend a lot of time on there. So I'm still trying to figure all that technical shit out.
Oh,
but yeah, just follow me on Insta and
Instagram,
and then that'll lead to everything else, Facebook or YouTube and stuff like that. So.
And this episode, I probably won't edit anything. I think we hit the nail on the head, and so yeah, go back and check out the Extra Butter episode we did with Devin. We talked about the Chic 2014 documentary, and then we got to know a little bit about her on the second episode of Comic Chops, and then CJ also had her on his other podcast, Live what was it again? Live, Laugh, Love.
Love Life's Comedy was
Love
that
Life,
was
my bad.
So that was I did like a season and a half, I guess. I kind of lost the mojo for podcasting and comedy for a little while. Some issues with the distributor. Anyway, long story short, so Love Life's Comedy was kind of like just talking about the journey in my first year of comedy in San Antonio and stuff. And Devin is one of my best friends in comedy. We met 2 years ago through this comedy workshop at Upstage Comedy Lounge, and she's my joke writing partner. We bounce ideas off each other, give good notes to punch up material and stuff like that. And genuinely good person and a funny ass motherfucking comic. So follow her at Unclassy Comedy I think she's on everything, but search Unclassy Comedy for sure on Insta. And she said she doesn't do Twitter, or she doesn't do X, but she's definitely on Insta and on Facebook. So check out Unclassy Comedy. Follow Devin Benish, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna have all those links and everything in the description, as well as the Extra Butter episode she was on, because she said she has some shows coming up in El Paso.
Yeah, she's gonna be at the comic strip in El Paso.
So that's gonna be the weekend of the 8th and the 9th, or the 9th and the 10th. So right. Sunday the 10th, March 2024. So hopefully, if y'all hear this in time, if y'all are in the area, if y'all know people in the area, please push that out there. We wanna show some love and support for Devin and all the comics out there, and you know, that's a pretty long ways for I mean, I'm over here talking about 2-hour drive for an open mics. She's got a show she got a show in El Paso.
So I know there's I'm sorry to step over, but there's a lot of K100. I'm sure there's some K100 fans that are over here. And Chuco Town represents K100. So go out there and support Devin Benish, man. If you get a chance, go out to the comic strip.
Hell yeah.
Name drop Nicho and CJ. Tell her we say what's up.
Hell yeah. So I guess that does it for this first entry in the 2024 March Podcasting Madness edition. We got that 5th year.
Sorry.
We got the 5th year anniversary. You know, this podcast came out in 2019. You know, at the time, my little girl was still a bun in the oven.
Wow.
And I had this thought of doing something that I could, you know, get into the creative, get the creative juices flowing and put out there. And you know, here she is, 4.5 years old. Daddy's still knocking him out. We're at a episode what, 115, 116.
Wow.
So
bro, that's impressive, man.
Congratulations,
man.
Appreciate it. You know, I'm sticking with the two episodes a month, you know, the bi-weekly releases, but it's March, baby, and you know how we do it. To celebrate, I'm gonna have CJ on. I have a few people on the list that are gonna make appearances. Mike the Hitman is returning. Keebler Cholo's returning. So even if it doesn't come out in March, if y'all want to be on the podcast, reach out to me on the X, on the Twitter machine at Shut Up Popcorn. Hit me in the DMs, hit me in the comments, let me know. Like I said, I'm always open to talk about whatever movie y'all want to talk about, whether it's a good or bad movie. Having a conversation with people, get to know, the people out there and interacting. But that's about it. That's all I got for this type of outro because it's all one. It's not sandwich. It's all one big hoagie. Yeah, that's a sandwich. One big slice of pizza. We'll put it that way.
We're a little punchy, bro. We've been recording podcasts all night.
Yeah, we've been going at it since 6 Central Time.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna go ahead and end this episode, end this podcast by saying the only thing I've ever said at the end of a podcast: if you ain't laughing, you ain't living. Take care of yourself and the people you love. Nanu nanu. Peace.